we watched were gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Is getting it done all over the place, and we are so glad you are here tonight to welcome our next governor, Lee Zeldin, our next Congresswoman, Elise Stefanik, and our entire slate of Republican candidates who you're going to hear from tonight. This election is about a couple of words. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. We have had it with them dominating our kids, shutting down our business, killing our senior citizens, destroying the state of New York. And on Tuesday, we're coming back. We're taking back this state. On Sunday night, you're taking your clocks back. On Tuesday, you're taking your country and your state back. Every single one of us is getting out there to vote, and it's not going to be just us. It's up to you to contact every single person you know. Get on that phone, text everybody. It can't be just us. It's got to be us plus 10 of our friends. We're going to send a message that we have had enough. This state is too great to be suffering like this. And who would have ever thought that you'd have a worse governor than Andrew Cuomo? That's her one point of success. She actually found a way to be worse than the worst governor we ever saw. It's unbelievable. You know, we are fighting every day. I had to laugh last night. Did you see today, for example, they bring out cackling Kamala. They bring out the most corrupt, incompetent attorney general we've ever seen in Tish James. They opened up the crypt and brought out Hillary. Which is fitting because Kathy Hochul's running the worst campaign you've ever seen. So it makes sense that Hillary, who ran the worst presidential campaign you've ever seen, will be out there telling her what to do. It's pathetic. And I watched last night that rally they held in Albany, where they lucky to get 100 people, most of whom were forced to be there. And I heard say that F is for forget about it as far as Lee becoming governor. Do you believe this? Now, here in Rensselaer County, here's what F stands for. 5 tax cuts in a row. 5 in a row. F stands for freedom here in Rensselaer County. F stands for 5 days to go until we run the table and elect Republicans. That's what we're all about. We are setting ourselves up here for a great night. A great night. We thank you so much for coming. There's about 3,000 people. Thank you so much. I love all of you too. Thank you. Rensselaer County is a shining example of what you can do with Republican leadership, right? Tax cuts, a better bond rating, businesses coming in, people moving in. I hear all the time that people say, I love being here because of the freedom. We didn't tell people what to do during a pandemic. We got out of their way, let them live their lives, let them make their own decisions for their kids and their families. And you notice this lying governor will never tell you the truth. And you saw during the debate where she was asked point blank about giving kids an injection that they do not need. They do not need it. It's up to the parents whether they want to give it to them. And she lied and said, oh, we're not considering that. Within 24 hours, she said, oh, we're seriously considering that. You cannot trust anything she says, right? She'll tell you that, hey, you know, crime, it's just in your head. It's just a perception of crime. Pay no attention to people getting shoved on the subway tracks and murdered and stabbed and shot and machete. Pay no attention to that. It's in your head. And then she turns around and says, it's a conspiracy. Yeah, okay. It's a conspiracy, Kathy. If it's such a conspiracy, why are you saying you want to put 1,800 cops down in the subway if it's such a conspiracy, right? Can you imagine putting your children on that subway to have to go to school in New York City? It's unthinkable. Anyway, all right, we have an incredible night here coming up. It's going to be an unbelievable night. We appreciate you being pumped up, being loud. Let everybody hear you. Love it. Love it. Wave those signs. All right, next up, my good friend and a fierce protector of what we hold dear in Rensselaer County, the Second Amendment. The president of the New York Rifle and Pistol Association, Mr. Tom King. Let's do it.
Thanks, buddy. Yes. You know the worst thing that can happen to you when you're about to give a little talk is following Steve. You know, I know everybody understands what's going on in the state. That the Democrats' number one platform item is taking your guns. They don't want to make people safer. They want to take your guns so they feel safer. You know, the NYSRPA versus Brune, which was a landmark decision. The Supreme Court said exactly what the definition of the Second Amendment was and how it was supposed to be handled in future cases. And what did Kathy Hochul do? She called the decision in the Supreme Court despicable. Well, I got news for her. I know who's despicable. You know, and I've been trying to think of what would be possible to get our ideas and our thoughts over to her. But seeing that she's tone deaf and she doesn't hear anything, I've decided that the Capitol is about right there in that direction, okay? And I think we should all turn around and flip her the bird. You know, give her what she deserves. you know. But we're gentlemen. I would never suggest that, okay? No. So where do we go from here? We're continuing to fight everything in the courts. And fortunately, we have a lot of really strong Second Amendment candidates and strong supporters who are behind us. And no one is a stronger supporter of the Second Amendment than Lee Zeldin, our next governor. I've known Lee for a long time, actually, and he means what he says, and he says what he means. So that's a little backward, but I'm a little dyslexic at times. So anyway, but you get the idea, and the fact is that he said he's going to protect our Second Amendment rights here in New York State, and he will. Oh yeah, you have to believe him. He'll look you in the eye and tell it to you. Have you ever tried to look Kathy Hochul in the eye? Steve took my eyebrows thing away from me, so I can't use that again. You know, but pardon me. The fact is that we have a bunch of really good candidates here, and you know, no one has supported our Second Amendment rights more than Elise Stefanik. A little story. Back in 2014, I was at a dinner up at the this Rod and Gun Club up in Johnstown, Pine Tree Rod and Gun Club, and I was sitting next to this young high schooler, so I thought, and she looks at me and she says, "I'm running for Congress. Can you support me?" And I said, "Yeah, who are you?" You know, but I guess we've all found out since then who Elise Stefanik is. Yeah, and we have to continue to support her. We have to continue to support her. You know, and what's even very important is we need good judges. Don't forget to vote for the judges that are on the ballot, Marcel and Young and all that. Vote for those guys. And who can forget the drubbing that Joe Pinion gave to Chucky Schumer? You know, Lee burying Kathy Hochul in his debate, that was expected. We all knew that, okay? But Joe was kind of an unknown object. And when he got up there and he put Schumer in his place, I was sitting there and watching that on television. I said, "There's the man. There's the guy." Now, the reason I'm up here is really multifaceted, but the most important one, I have to introduce to you a candidate for Congress. And it's not Elise, but it's someone who's going to be just as good, given a little chance to pick up some tips from her in the while she's serving in office. And she went through a lot of trouble this year with changing her district, and you know, they made it very difficult for her because they're trying to protect the incumbent. And you know who the incumbent is? Yeah. Who? You know, that's the first time I've heard that name in about 3 years. You know, because he doesn't never do anything. But anyway, I would like to bring up my friend, my dear friend, Liz Joy. Please, let's hear it for Liz Joy.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, it's time for Taxing Tonko to go. It is time to fire Paul Tonko. A couple of days ago, there's a clip I put up on social media. Paul Tonko actually said, we right now have an excellent economy. He said that a couple of days ago. And I said, an excellent economy? We're paying more for our gas. We're paying more for our electric and utilities, which, by the way, he voted to increase 39%. He's on the Energy and Commerce Committee. The reason that you're seeing an increase in your utility bills is because Paul Tonko voted for it back here in the Capital Region. He voted to do that, and I called him out for it in our debate. Do you know, in 13 years, he himself has only gotten 3 bills passed. 3 bills, 13 years. You know what they were? Renaming a post office. Renaming another bill after a friend of his. And passing a bill on radio piracy. Radio piracy. I have to tell you something. In Saratoga, Schenectady, Albany, and Rensselaer counties, I have yet to run into a radio pirate. But I will tell you what I am running into. A lot of bureaucrats who are causing us to pay more for our gas, more for our electric, more for our groceries. And now we're dependent on other countries for our oil and our gas. So it is time to fire Paul Tonko. I've also run into a lot of violent criminals that Tonko refuses to put behind bars with legislation. He supports catch and release, and he voted at the national level for federal bail reform, the same as that we have here. He voted for that. Paul Tonko even voted not to deport violent criminals who were gang members from other countries. You need to know that. It's time to hold government officials accountable for transparency for us here in the Capital Region, the 20th District. We need somebody that is fair, somebody that is honest, somebody that's raised a family, someone that has to put groceries on the table, somebody that actually has to pay for their gas, somebody that wants safety and security for our children, our families, when we walk down the street. Somebody that believes in your individual freedom as parents to decide what is right for your children, where bureaucrats don't tell them what to do. Bureaucrats shouldn't tell you what to do. And Tonko's a bureaucrat. 46 years. 46 years as a career politician. 13 years in Congress and 3 bills. 3 bills. We need to get him out of there on Tuesday. And I'll tell you what, the polls are showing right now we are neck and neck. Neck and neck. Woo! Get him out. Get him out. It's time that the 20th District has a voice, a real representation in Washington, D.C. And on Tuesday, we are going to make it happen. We are going to make history. We are going to win this race. And yes, we are. And we're going to do it by everybody getting out there and voting. And we're going to do it by texting your friends. And another thing, when I get there, I'm going to make sure you don't have 87,000 IRS agents that Paul Tonko wanted to get you. I'm going to make sure you have more money in your wallets, more money in your savings accounts. We're going to watch those savings go back up. We're going to watch safety and security return to this country, energy independence return to this country, and we're going to make it great here in the 20th District, and I am so excited. So listen, Get out there, tell everybody you know. They only gave me 2 minutes, and I think I'm already gone over it. Mike's timing me right now. So I'm gonna introduce to you the next person. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Together we can do it, and with a lot of faith. God is with us. If God be for us, who could be against us? That's what I have to say. But I want to introduce my friend who's coming up here. I am so excited to introduce him. The 19th Congressional District needs Mark Molinaro. He is a wonderful man. I've known Mark for several years, many years. I've been running for this for 4 straight years, and I've talked to him very often and even knew him before that. He's a family man. He's an honest man. He's a kind man. We need him in Congress. And I am so glad to say, Mark, I believe in you, and I cannot wait to call you the next congressman of the 19th Congressional District.
I cannot wait to go to Washington, D.C. to help save New York, get America back on track, and serve with Liz Joy. Are you ready to save New York? No, they can't hear you across the river. You're ready to save New York. On Tuesday, November 8th, we take this country back. Imagine where we are today. Imagine where we are today. Just 3 weeks ago, the President of the United States, with an ice cream cone in his hand, says the economy is as strong as hell. He should live in upstate New York, where we pay too many taxes, where the cost of everything from energy to groceries all skyrocketing. I don't know what the economy feels like in hell, but it feels like hell in his economy. And on Tuesday, November 8th, we are going to flip the House of Representatives, a Republican majority led by our conference leader, Elise Stefanik. We are going to tackle inflation. We are going to support our police. We are going to make this country secure and safe again. And we're going to send those people who think we work for them, we're going to send them packing. Think about it. Just a month ago, the governor of the state of New York stood on a stage like this, and she said the era of Lee Zeldin and Mark Molinaro must come to an end. I went home and told my wife how proud I was to have an era named after me. And then she went on to say that they are not real New Yorkers. They should get on a bus and go to Florida. I don't know why we take a bus to Florida, but the irony is their policies. Democrats in Washington, Democrats in Albany, the governor of the state of New York, their policies, high taxes, high spending, high crime, disrespect for American families, discard our children, turning our backs on the most vulnerable. Imagine for a moment they had the nerve to say that we ought to get on a bus. All of those policies are the reason New York leads the nation. Now, more of our families are in Florida already. That's the irony. And then she went on to just simply say that we weren't real New Yorkers. Who the hell does she think she is? But make no mistake, she may have been pointing at the politicians, but they were talking about you. All of us who have worked hard to raise our families, we are real New Yorkers. We built businesses. We volunteer in our fire companies, we invest in our communities. We are real New Yorkers. And because of their decisions over the last few years, we saw some of our loved ones die. They were real New Yorkers. Well, we have news for all of them. We don't work for you. You work for us. And they might do themselves a favor by at least reading the first 3 words of the United States Constitution. We the people. We are real New Yorkers, and on November 8th, as New Yorkers and Americans, we're going to take this state back. We're going to set America on the right track. We are real New Yorkers. And on Tuesday, November 8th, we will set the record straight. We will elect Lee Zeldin, the next governor of the state of New York. You're going to send Liz Joy, and I hope me, to Congress to go work with Elise. We're going to send Nancy Pelosi on a much-needed retirement. Because I've got news for them. On November the 8th, it's not about them. It's about us. We, the people. And we're here to take our government back. God bless and thanks very much. Ladies and gentlemen, to join us in this fight, you're going to elect the next United States Senator Joe Pinion.
God, saw you.
Who's ready to fire Chuck Schumer? Well, for those that don't know, I am Joe Pinion, your Republican nominee to ensure that after 42 years in D.C., 24 years in the United States Senate, we send Charles Ellis Schumer to the retirement home of politics once and for all. You know, I've been traveling all over the state. Some of you know I went home and told my poor mother I quit my job. She started weeping. Everywhere I go, people say, Joe, what in the world are you doing? Are you having some kind of midlife crisis? And I say, no, I'm not, but America is. And with your help, on November 8th, the first step to recovery is firing Chuck Schumer once and for all. There is a corrupt cabal that keeps these people in power. They have done absolutely, positively nothing to benefit our lives or to secure our God-given freedoms. They have turned our southern border into a gangster's paradise. They have had the Chinese cartels get together with the Mexican cartels to flood our streets with enough fentanyl to kill every man, woman, and child that calls this nation home, and they could care less about the sorrow that it drills into the soul of this nation. Hear me clearly. Send me to Washington, D.C. We're going to drain that swamp. We're going to give our streets back to the people that call this nation home. Now, some of you have heard about that debate we had last Sunday not far from here over at Union College. Luckily, I escaped without charges being brought, but let's be very clear. We got a real opportunity to hear what they have planned for this nation. The Senate Majority Leader for America said that he was open to putting masks back on the face of our beautiful children. We can't let that happen. He said he was open to mandating the jab for our beautiful children. We can't let that happen. And worst off, he said that he was open to exploring the possibility they would pack the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court of this nation, the last bastion of our God-given rights. He'd let it be known that absolutely, positively, can we never send Charles Ellis Schumer to one more day of one more term. With your help, November 8th, we're going to see to it he never steps foot in that building again. We are here to set a new record. We are here to plant our flag in the sand and say quite clearly that when you take the hands of law enforcement, tie them behind their backs, allow 2021 become the most dangerous year to wear a badge in this nation, When you have shootings that go up 90% in New York City, homicide goes up 30%. You drive a little further up, we have now Rochester, New York with more murder per capita than Chicago, Illinois. That is not America. That is not New York. It is an abomination. And with your help, we are going to send a message. Those who trouble at their own house shall indeed inherit the wind. The 9th day of January, I quit my job. The 17th day of January, we filed the paperwork against a man who had $28 million in the bank. Over the last 30 days, he spent $7.5 million on television. He's been sending pieces of mail with my name on it and Mitch McConnell's face and hoping New Yorkers don't know the difference. I think the jig is up. But let's be clear. All the money in the world can't save him, because we are powered by the people, because we are here for a purpose that is greater than this day. We are here to give power back to the land of the free, the home of the brave, those eternal words. We, the people of this United States of America, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense that starts with ensuring that we never allow a nation that was founded to escape tyranny of a king to share. We would never have tyranny of one-party rule put their boot on their necks and drive us to our knees and say that is the only way we can be free. We are here to send a clear message, as Abraham Lincoln did when he said he had been driven to his knees by the overwhelming conviction he had nowhere else to go. First we pray, then we stand up, then we're going to go save this country that we love. And so this is it. We are all in to save our state. We're sending out the SOS. This is the moment. Are you going to meet it? We don't choose the moments in life. They choose us. The book reminds us that God, He chose us in Him at the foundation of the universe. That means that none of this is an accident, that America is not an accident, that we are all called together for such a time as this according to His purpose, to make sure that we have an America that is worthy of those who gave the last full measure of devotion for the red, the white, and the blue, the stars and the stripes, this land that we love. And so we need your help. Lee Zeldin needs your help to be the next governor of this state. Will you help him? Michael Henry needs your help to become the next Attorney General of this great state. Will you help him? I need your help to help every single person all across this country know, all across this state know, that Charles Ellis Schumer is on the ballot, that the man who kept us from keeping America great is now hell-bent on destroying this nation that we love. Will you help me? We have made too many covenants with death. It is time for us to make a new covenant with life. All of you go out like Paul Revere, riding around the countryside, telling people that godliness is coming back to America, that faithfulness is coming back to America, that the rule of law is coming back to America, that as they leave with those eternal words, if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then we shall hear their cries from heaven, forgive our sins and heal our land. It's healing time in New York. It's healing time in America. And I'm asking you to welcome my friend Michael Henry to the stage, because we're going to change this nation. We're going to bring back law and order. We're going to restore this country for every single person that we love. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Is everybody ready to save our state? You got to do better than that. Is everybody ready to save our state? I'm running to become your next Attorney General because, like you, I've seen what one-party control has done to this state. We have a crime crisis. We have a corruption crisis. We have a cost of living crisis. But the good news is the Trafalgar Group just showed a poll with Lee Zeldin with a 1-point lead for governor. And the Trafalgar Group has published 2, not 1, but 2 polls with me leading Letitia James for Attorney General. So we are not only going to fire Kathy Hochul, we are going to dismiss Letitia James on November 8th. And it's going to take all of us, every single one of us. You have to tell your friends. You have to tell your family. You have to tell your neighbors. Get on Facebook. Talk to friends you haven't talked to in a while. Because we have to turn the vote out so we can turn this state around. And I see the news cameras here. So, Letitia James, if you're watching, you should have had the courage to show up to a debate. Because that was our job interview. That was our job interview, and you don't deserve to be rehired. And I've never said anything about you that hasn't come out of your own mouth on video or you haven't printed. You can't fool the public. You said on a debate stage in 2018, you wanted cashless bail, you got what you wanted, and it failed. And everybody in this state knows you are a pro-criminal, anti-police activist pretending to be an attorney general. And you cannot insult the intelligence of the voters of this state. And you definitely can't run from your record the same way you ran from our debate. And on November 8th, they are going to vote to dismiss Tish James because you don't deserve to be reelected to the attorney general's position of this state. Now, this November 8th, we're going to make history. We are going to relieve the most political attorney general in the country from her job. And then we are all going to work together to take on the crime crisis, to take on the corruption crisis, to take on the economic crisis that's leading to a mass exodus of our friends and our families. And we are going to make history, but we need to turn out this vote. Now, in closing, because I follow 2 minutes, unlike certain people, asking Joe Pinion to speak for 2 minutes is like asking Letitia James to follow the rule of law. I have a friend I want to introduce everyone to, and I think you're going to like this person a lot. I do. I want to introduce you all to the next Lieutenant Governor of the state of New York, Allison Esposito. First guy. Is she here? Where is she? Joe? Joe? Okay, let's try it one more time. Let's try it one more time. Please welcome the next Lieutenant Governor of the state of New York, Allison Esposito.
I had to make you wait for me.
You can move a mountain, you can break rocks, you can be a master, don't wait for love, dedicate yourself.
Are you guys ready to save our state? Are you ready to make history? Are you ready to do this? The silent majority is awake, and we are coming for our state back. So, did you see the debate? So, our present governor asked a very important question of Congressman Zeldin. Asked a very important question. You know, when he was talking so passionately and standing on the issues that matter most to New Yorkers, crime, law and order, public safety, our children's education, the economy, the fact that our people are fleeing to freer, cheaper, and safer states, she turned to him with this smug, out-of-touch, elitist-type smile and said, "Why does this mean so much to you?" Why does this mean so much to you? Well, I can tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a politician. I'm a cop, and public safety means a hell of a lot to me. November 8th, public safety, crime, our freedom is on the ballot. Our children's education is on the ballot. The ability to decide what's best for you and your family is on the ballot. And Congressman Zeldin stands on the right side of all of these issues. All of these issues, ladies and gentlemen. Under this administration, with all these phenomenal candidates, we will unapologetically back the blue. We don't defund our cops, ladies and gentlemen. We give them the training, the tools, and the resources to do the job that we need them to do with the compassion and the professionalism that we demand from them. We will fire reckless and dangerous district attorneys like Manhattan's Alvin Bragg, who refuse to uphold his office and are failing to prosecute crime. This will send a shockwave throughout the state to let the district attorneys know, if you don't want to do your job, we'll find someone who will. So this is all of us. What you allow will continue. And the silent majority is awake, and we will no longer allow this ruling elite to dictate our lives. We are taking our state back. This is not a red wave, ladies and gentlemen. This is a common sense wave. This is a red, white, and blue wave. This is Republicans, Democrats, independents, and people who have never voted before standing up and saying enough. Enough. We don't want to be ruled by those in Albany. We want a government that knows that they represent us. This is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, and it's about time they realize that. So I need the excitement. I need the passion. We are on the precipice of history. 5 days. 5 days. We do absolutely everything in our power between now and then. You talk to everyone. Family, distant relatives, colleagues, co-workers, neighbors. Sally down the block that you don't like. And get her out. Because in New York, we are going to concentrate more on what unites us and less on what divides us. And we once again need to remember that voting is not just a right. It's a duty. It's an obligation. It's the way we make our voices heard in these United States, the greatest country in the history of the world. And I believe we do this. I believe we do this if everybody takes nothing for granted, if everybody leaves it all on the field, and then we go to sleep that night, and there's another word back in our vocabulary. Hope. Hope. That the new dawn brings new government, actual representatives of the people. That the new dawn will bring opportunities. That the new dawn will return public safety and law and order to our streets. That the new dawn will allow you as parents to decide what's best for your children with the vaccine or education. That the new dawn will bring those heroes that we cheered. Those heroes that we cheered for at 7 o'clock every night that put everything on the line, the doctors, the nurses, the cops, the firefighters, who were fired and lost their jobs because they didn't take a vaccine. New dawn, that they will have their jobs back and with back pay. Once again, it will be hope. We will have hope. And with your help, 24 years ago, I stood in the city of New York and I raised my right hand. And at that point, I vowed to protect the people of the city of New York. With your help, on January 1st, I will stand next to then Governor Zeldin. And we will both vow to protect and lead all of the people of New York State. And ladies and gentlemen, we will deliver back to you the New York State that you deserve. Now it is my honor to introduce your Congresswoman. Okay. Third highest Republican in Congress, I think. Third highest. She is an amazing force. She is a leader. She's badass. Couldn't have described it better myself. But over these last weeks and months on the campaign trail, I have gotten to know her a little bit. She's also incredibly compassionate. She's a wonderful human being. And she believes in putting people before power. So it is my honor to introduce your Congresswoman, Elise Stefanik.
To be here with fellow upstaters as we push and build the energy and momentum to get this done. We have seen the disasters under single-party Democrat rule in both Washington and Albany, and it has failed New Yorkers, and it has failed the American people. The inflation crisis. Everywhere I go in my district, everyone I talk to across this country and across this great state are suffering with the highest rate of inflation in my lifetime. And we know it's a direct result of the trillions of dollars of reckless spending in Albany and Washington. We will stop the reckless spending to rein in inflation, to stand up for hardworking taxpayers and stand up for New Yorkers. And on top of the inflation crisis, we have a crime crisis in this state. And it is a direct result of the defund the police policies and rhetoric from today's Democrat Party. And Kathy Hochul has embraced and is the leader of the defund the police Democrat Party, of the failed bail reform Democrat Party. In New York, we back the blue, and we're going to speak loudly and clearly come Election Day in 5 days. I know in this crowd today there are so many law enforcement officers, so many law enforcement families, so many law enforcement retirees. Let's give them a big New York thank you for their service. Republicans, we are going to work as one team to take back our streets, to stand up for the safety and security of every community across this great state and every community across this nation. But in addition to the inflation crisis and the crime crisis, do you believe your constitutional rights have been under attack in New York State? Raise your hand. They have been. They have been under Kathy Hochul, under Chuck Schumer, and under Democrat one-party rule in Washington. And we will proudly stand up for your constitutional rights, including our Second Amendment, which is so important to every American and every New Yorker. How about a government that's accountable? That would be nice, accountable to the people and not the other way around. You know, I will tell you, in Washington, this is the first time this has ever happened. Nancy Pelosi, when constituents visit their member of Congress, they have to submit their names to Nancy Pelosi's office for approval. Folks, that's not how it works. So you see the corruption in Washington, but we see the corruption in New York State. Kathy Hochul is the height of corruption. She embodies the cesspool of corruption that have riddled Albany Democrats for years. And we have got to fire them and elect Republicans up and down the ballot, because it's we the people They work for us, not the other way around. Now, let me tell you, upstate New York, we have a really important job to deliver this victory to save our state. I am asking you to put it all on the line. Make sure everyone turns out to vote. In my district, New York's 21st district, we have made history with the highest turnout the past few election cycles. And I am asking you, we need to do that again all throughout upstate New York and this great state to make sure that we stand up for hardworking New Yorkers. It is a rescue mission to save our state. Can you do that, upstate New York? Well, I'm counting on you, and you've never let us down, so I know we will be key to electing Republicans up and down the ballot. And I am so excited to introduce our next guest and the next governor of New York State. But let me talk about Lee. Let me talk about how tremendous Lee is. Lee is a dedicated father of two wonderful twin daughters who he is so proud of every day. I've watched them grow up. We were first sworn into office together. We were elected in 2014, and we both flipped districts from Democrat to Republican. So we know how to win. We know how to win in upstate. We know how to win on Long Island. We know how to win everywhere in New York State. In addition, Lee served in the U.S. Army and is a proud veteran and works every single day to stand up for veterans. And that is so meaningful to this district in upstate New York. Do you know in New York State there are more veterans in New York's 21st congressional district than anywhere else in the state? And we want to thank them for their service. When Lee told me he was running for governor, that was almost 2 years ago at this point. And I believed that we had a once-in-a-generation opportunity to win back our great state. And he has crisscrossed every single county in this state. Even better than Chuck Schumer, who talks about visiting every county throughout the year. Lee Zeldin has visited every county twice in this past year. So that's called a full Zeldin with your candidates, and that's the type of energy and enthusiasm he is going to bring as our governor. In addition, Lee is one of the most effective members of Congress. Whether it's standing up for New York's taxpayers, Lee has never voted to raise taxes. And I'll tell you what, in New York, our taxes are way too high. It's leading to out-migration from our state. People are saying to us on the campaign trail that this is their last chance. Otherwise, they feel they will have to move and follow that mass exodus of so many small businesses, so many seniors, so many hardworking families. And folks, that has to stop. The way that stops is electing a Republican governor. So, I'm going to end where I started before I introduce our next guest. Are we going to fire Nancy Pelosi? Are we going to fire Chuck Schumer? Are we going to fire Tish James? And most important, are we going to fire Kathy Hochul? I am so honored to introduce our special guest, the next governor of New York State, Lee Zeldin.
Election coming up in 5 days, isn't there? And the Capital Region's ready to fire Kathy Hochul, I think. Listen, these opportunities, they don't come around that often, and we're just 5 days away from being able to take back our state, to feel like we're back in control of our government again, to have a governor who doesn't look at all of you as his or her apostles. This is an opportunity for you to have a governor who doesn't refer to themselves as the mother or father of New York's 62 counties. This is an opportunity for you to have a governor who understands that public service is about serving the public, not being served by the public. An opportunity to have a governor who understands that the only time that you are ever engaging in a transaction of freedom with the government is government giving you freedoms back and not the other way around. 5 days. 5 days. You know, this pollster called Trafalgar, you ever heard of it? Trafalgar says that we're now up by about a point. But what is so important here in the home stretch is for all of us to do everything in our power. Take absolutely nothing for granted. Campaign like we're behind no matter what. Tell everyone we know, family and friends and neighbors and strangers, social media and emails and texts and WhatsApp and whatever it is, that we are communicating with everyone we know, because we need everyone out. I don't even know how many thousands of people here. What do you think? 3? Now, I'll tell you, as far as there was a rally that went on at the same time that we're here. I don't know if you heard about it, but we're all out here in this beautiful New York night. And while we're here, Kathy Hochul's rallying with Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris. And her entire crowd would probably fit like over here. There is no doubt which campaign has the momentum and the energy, the enthusiasm to bring this home and to save our state. No doubt. But we have to close strong. We have to close strong. You know, when I got into this race, people say, well, look at how many more Democrats than Republicans there are in New York. There's no way. Now, there's a couple problems with that. One is there's also millions of other people who are actually not Republicans or Democrats. And right now, they're coming heavily our way, okay? And here's the other thing about these campaigns. We can ask these questions to the candidates. So tell me, what are the top issues? Now, here's the interesting thing. So we get asked that question, and what I do is I say what you tell me are the top issues. That's how this works. The people are in charge. So I say that the reason why New York leads the entire country in outmigration is because of attacks on wallets, on safety, on freedom, and the quality of our kids' education. And that's why New Yorkers are hitting their breaking point and fleeing. They're looking at other states like Florida and Texas and the Carolinas and Tennessee and elsewhere, and they feel like their money will go further, they will feel safer, and they will live life freer. That is why I believe New York leads the entire country in outmigration. So when you ask me, media, what are the top issues of the campaign, my answer is whatever the people tell me are the top issues. Okay? Because you all are in charge. This is your government. Now, when Kathy Hochul gets asked the question, she doesn't talk about that. She wants to talk about other things. But here's the problem with talking about other things is that you start alienating the people. Because the people want courage and leadership, and they want you to be bold. Kathy Hochul says that we don't have any solutions on how to combat crime. Well, let me share a few. We had a debate last week. And a question after question after... Any of you catch the debate last week? That's good. I wanted to have a bunch of debates. I wanted to have debates all across the entire state. I said we should have at least one debate in the capital region. Heck, I'll take a seat right here. I don't know. You know, she's taking her helicopter back to Albany right now. She might even be back. I mean, I'm ready. But she doesn't want to debate again. So we're at the debate, and they're asking question after question after question about crime. And I point out to her that we are almost halfway through this debate and you haven't yet spoken about the whole lock up the bad guy part of fighting crime. And she says that she does not understand why that is so important to me. And when she says that she doesn't understand why that's so important to me, she's saying that she doesn't understand why that's so important to the people, to all of you. So she decided that she was going to do some cleanup. She went on MSNBC this past weekend. And when she was on MSNBC, she used the opportunity to say that this whole thing about fighting crime, that's a conspiracy, and that we're data deniers. Now, here's the reality, though, is that if you look at a number of these major crime categories, they're up. Category after category after category after category. So if we're relying on the data, well, then maybe there's something here that we should be talking about. We don't want to be lectured. A few decades ago, they tried that back in the 1980s, telling it was just perception. There's nothing to see here. Just look away. But now you have cell phones and social media, and people see the videos. They see the news stories. And they decide, you know what, we want people in government to step up and lead. They're angry. They want their streets to belong to law-abiding New Yorkers and not belonging to criminals. Don't put the handcuffs on the law enforcement. Don't put the handcuffs on the law-abiding New Yorker. Put it on the criminal. And she's trying to lecture. That was her cleanup. So she says that there are no ideas. And listen, I have a couple of ideas to start with. Right after I'm sworn in, and hopefully all of you, January 1st, plan on being at the state capitol when you all get to swear in a new governor. I believe that we shouldn't be releasing violent criminals who just roam free on our streets. We have some weak prosecutors out there. They're not doing their job. They're not enforcing the law. So I've said that the first thing that I'm going to do, the first day that I'm in office, is tell the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg that he's going to be fired. Now, I want to be able to work with the state legislature. I think they should come to the table to fix all these pro-criminal laws. You see the story of Kiera Hudson just outside of Buffalo. And there's a mother of 3. And a few weeks back, her husband, charged with a slew of domestic violence offenses, gets released on Tuesday. No bail. Kara was begging, you can't release him. He is going to murder me. The next day, in front of her 3 kids, Kiara was wearing a bulletproof vest, and Adam killed her. We saw the story of a dad who came up to Marist. He's getting a cup of coffee, checking out of a hotel for Parents' Weekend. It's supposed to be a special weekend. And he ends up getting killed. I even had a gang drive-by shooting on my front yard a few weekends ago. And if I'm as a 4-term member of Congress running for governor, it can have this happen on my front yard. It can happen to anybody. We want action. Y'all are angry. So if the state legislature is not going to come to the table, we are going to bring them to the table. On day 1, we are going to declare a crime emergency here in the state of New York. We are going to suspend cashless bail and raise the age and the HALT Act and less is more and the discovery law changes. When you go to sleep January 1st, these laws will be suspended. Now I'm talking suspension, not repeal. If we want to repeal these laws, we need the state legislature to come to the table. We're going to bring them to the table. That's the only way to get them there, apparently. One of the ways that you can help is getting a lot of great candidates elected to the state Senate and the state assembly running in our local area. We have to break the supermajority. The capital region has so much opportunity to be able to get that done. Please support. This is one team, one ticket, top down, bottom up. We're all running together and we're talking about the same things to be able to save our state. So they say we have no ideas. And we're talking about holding weak prosecutors accountable for their refusal to enforce the law. We're talking about the need to be able to repeal cashless bail and give judges discretion to weigh dangerousness. We should amend, raise the age. We have to repeal the HALT Act. The discovery law changes were really bad. Those have to be brought back too. Less is more. Bad news. Someone in a Hudson Beach subway station, Howard Beach subway station, was just attacked by somebody who had once killed his own grandparent. Violates his parole this past August. And what was reported was that the parole officer wasn't able to keep him detained because of less is more. When Kathy Hochul signed less is more, she released 191 people from Rikers Island. And a whole bunch of them immediately went out and committed additional offenses. How about we overhaul the parole board? They've been releasing too many cop killers, don't you think? We should change it from a majority vote to a unanimous vote. We should care about victims' rights. Victims should be able to provide their testimony and to have that considered. They should be noticed when there's a hearing that is taking place, and they should have the power to participate in an appeal. We should protect qualified immunity of law enforcement. Okay? They should be able to do their job that they're well trained to do without fear that they're just going to get sued by everyone who's getting upset with them throughout the entire day. I believe that whenever you're closing down one of these prisons, as we've seen, they should be making a decision. What are you going to do with it? With all the abandoned and unused property? I also think that there are some emotionally disturbed people on our streets, and they're confrontational. And they can't be on the streets. They're causing bad harm to other folks. And Kathy Hochul says that she thinks that they should come off the streets too, and her plan provides 50 beds. I assure you that that is missing at least 1 0, probably 2. And it's important for them. So on our website, we actually put our Secure Our Streets plan. Kathy Hochul likes to say, they don't have a plan. We all have a plan, but what we lack right now is a governor with a backbone to do the right thing, to back our men and women in law enforcement, to make sure that we're firing those rogue district attorneys who refuse to enforce the law, to make sure that we're rolling back these pro-criminal laws while we have an Albany that thinks that they haven't passed enough pro-criminal laws. We have to make life in New York more affordable. One of the ways that we could do that is reversing the state's ban on the safe extraction of natural gas. There are pipeline applications right now up in Albany collecting dust, being delayed and denied, instead should be getting approved. The state should be operating off of a state spending cap. They have to bring spending under control. What do you think about enacting the largest tax cut in the history of the state? Sounds pretty good. Pretty sure Kathy Hochul's not going to try to get that done. And by the way, if you want to get a COVID vaccine, get it. If you don't want to get it, don't get it. But don't get it because the governor called on you to be his or her apostle. Nobody should be fired for that personal decision of whether or not to get the COVID vaccine. And everyone who is fired should get their jobs back with back pay. We have students right now who pay their tuition, and they're being blocked from the classroom for a personal decision of whether or not to get it. When we were at the debate last week, Kathy Hochul said, with regards to her COVID vaccine mandate, she would do it all over again. When we were asked about whether or not we would mandate the COVID vaccine for our kids, she would only commit to not doing it right then and there. And I said, well, when it was my turn, I would never mandate the COVID vaccine for anyone at any point. By the way, seriously, if you want to get it, get it. It's your decision, okay? Freedom is something that's important to protect. Our kids' education. We want people who have left to come back home to New York. And we've reached the point that the only way that this state can bring businesses to New York is by bribing them with tax breaks, policies that pick winners and losers. How about we level the playing field? How about businesses just coming here because we have a good business climate and low taxes and freedom and less regulation and state agencies that want to support business rather than prosecute business? You know what happens in other states with these businesses? They just go there. You don't have to bribe them. And it's really important for you to have a government that you can be proud of. It is time for term limits to get passed. The governor of the state of New York should be term limited to no more than 2 terms of 4 years each. I would call on the state legislature to term limit me, and I'm really happy that there are a bunch of cameras that are here right now, because you could put me on record, and I've said it in the past. Even if the state legislature doesn't term limit me, I will term limit myself. New Yorkers want term limits. And by the way, I also think New Yorkers want voter ID. See, they debate whether or not we should have it. The people are in charge. If the people want it, you give it to them. Because it's not your state, it's not your government. It belongs to all of you. Yes. I want to say that we live in the greatest state, in the greatest country in the history of the world. And it's hard for us to be able to make that argument when people in other states are saying, well, don't you live in that state that leads the entire country in population loss? Okay, that's a good point. Fair point. I want us to be able to easily defend ourselves when we are telling anyone in America that we live, and we will, we are going to restore New York to glory. We live in the greatest state, in the greatest country in the history of the world. Now, like I said, this is one team, one ticket. I'm not asking you to support just one of us. I'm asking for you to support all of us. And my partner in this, she's going to be a great lieutenant governor. You know, Kathy Hochul, her first big decision, she picks Brian Benjamin as her lieutenant governor. The champion of the defund the police movement, the architect of cashless bail, a guy who is spending his time running from the law. And I went out and found someone who spends all of her time enforcing it. Allison, come up here. Our next lieutenant governor, Allison Esposito. Now I have a trivia question for all of you. Let me see what the Capital Region thinks about this. We have a choice. Okay, so here's an option. Are you all ready to turn Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer into Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer? No. I said I was going to give you some options. You don't have to pick the first option. Are you all ready to turn Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer into former Senator Chuck Schumer and elect Joe Pinion as our next U.S. Senator? Joe Pinion. And listen, this is a statewide ticket. We have Paul Rodriguez running for state comptroller. I encourage you to support him. And we also have here with us tonight, you heard from Michael Henry running for New York State Attorney General. This is one statewide ticket, so I'm asking for you to support all of us. And you heard from her just before you heard from me. And I'm confident that she is going to be serving in the majority in January. And what I can't wait to see, by the way, is that she's also going to be next to Congresswoman Liz Joy. Okay. We have to make sure that all of us have the opportunity at the beginning of January to turn our TVs onto C-SPAN when we all get to watch the gavel permanently coming out of the hands of former Speaker Nancy Pelosi. And taking the gavels out of Adam Schiff's hands and Maxine Waters and Jerry Nadler, and we will have a balance of power being led by one of the most influential members of the House of Representatives come January. She's already shooting up the ranks. She is a superstar in our conference. She is smart. She is dedicated. She's a hard worker. She is a fighter. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. Like I said, though, we can't send her by herself. No. We need to send her with a new wing woman from the Capital Region. And come Tuesday night, I hope we all get to call her Congresswoman-elect Liz Joy. All right, listen, I get one team, one ticket. Let's bring all of our candidates up. If you're running for state senate and state assembly, come here and join us. See my friend Jake Ashby, soon to be state senator Jake Ashby. Now there are times, anyone who's running, let's get them up here. This is one team. There are times when we have elections and we're wondering, okay, I wonder which one of these races we're going to be able to win. Because you have a limited amount of attention and bandwidth. But in 5 days, this isn't about winning some of what's up here. This is about winning every single one of these races with these great candidates. We will have a balance of power in Washington again. We will break that supermajority in the state assembly and state senate. And I don't know, you tell me, with all apologies to Prince, it happened once about 28 years ago. Are you all ready to party like it's 1994 again? Our state was at a crossroads and they picked George Pataki, and thank God that they did. And we're going to have one of those elections that they're going to be telling stories decades from now. You'll be able to tell people you were there at that rally 5 days out. You tell them, listen, there was like 64,000 people there that day. Actually, truthfully, there were a few thousand. That's pretty amazing how many of you came out here. And we're very grateful for it because we have no shot. We do this for you. We can't win without you. And we want to say thank you to all of you for showing up here tonight, for all of your support. We ask you to volunteer. Volunteer these last 5 days. Be a poll worker. Help get the word out. Get on social media. We need your help. And what we are able to guarantee you is this. We guarantee you that we are going to win this race for governor as long as every single one of you do absolutely everything in your power, taking nothing for granted. And then what will happen is that the capital region will have successfully fired Kathy Hochul, end one-party rule. We will save our state. For the first time in decades, we will have elected a Republican governor again here in the state of New York. We will reverse the attacks on your wallet, your safety, your freedom, and the quality of your kids' education. This is a country you love. This is a state that is yours. Now let's go out and fight for it. Losing is not an option. Thank you for coming out. On to victory. 5 days to go. Let's get this done.